Boom Shanker, my friends. Musings with Wolf here. Hope you're very well. It's been a little while since I posted, and I'm here to post once more because posting's what we do on this posting post. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's enjoying 2025, feeling alive, gonna thrive. Gonna jive, gonna do a dive into the depths of the mind, gonna rewind to time, sublime, 9, flying. Right, today I'm gonna, that was just like a freestyle, and that is the theme of today's video. I'm gonna freestyle a short story, and it's gonna be sick. All right. So my story is on the go right now. So it's 1969. Apple Pie Dan, is traveling and he arrives in San Francisco. He's walking through the streets of San Francisco, hearing all of the joys of the summer of 69. All of the joys. He's heard all about the joys the summer of 69 has brought to San Francisco, but he is severely let down when he just finds it a waste town with drugs and unfortunate sightings going on from every direction. But one thing catches his eye. It's the hill. The hill is at the top of the town, and on this hill he sees a house. And one night he can't help but wonder, what is going on in that house? So he starts to walk towards the house, and as he's walking through the dark streets of San Francisco, a hand stops him. He says, Apple Pie Dan says, "Who are you?" And the man says,
"I am the mystic man. I hold all the mysteries in the palm of my hand."
Now Apple Pie Dan is used to weirdness. His name is Apple Pie Dan. What do you expect? He says to the mystic man, "Who are you and what do you want?" And the mystic man says,
"Apple Pie Dan, I know what your heart truly desires. You are a very negative person. Go to the top of the hill and find out the secrets to happiness."
And Apple Pie Dan's like, "Mystic man, look, you're a bit strange, but you're right. I'm such a grumpy bugger. I'm always complaining. I'm always negative. I always feel depressed and down and anxious. Maybe I should go to the top of the hill and find out the secrets to happiness and a happy life." And he says, "But how do you know this, Mystic Man? How do you know my name's even Apple Pie Dan?" And the Mystic Man disappears in a puff of smoke. Yeah. Anyway, so then Apple Pie Dan, he starts walking up to the hill, but it starts chucking it down, and lightning starts firing from all directions. Pacha! So Apple Pie Dan runs back into the town. He stumbles across a bar, and Apple Pie Dan has long learned that drinking and Apple Pie Dan do not go together. So he goes into the bar and he orders a glass of orange juice. And while he's sat at the bar, he starts talking to the bartender, and he says, "Gee whiz, you know that hill? Who lives in that house right at the top of the hill?" And the barman gives him a discerning look. The whole bar goes completely silent and begins to leave. There's only one, you hear one man mumble, "And I was just starting to enjoy my night." They all leave the bar. Apple Pie Dan turns to to the barman. What did I say? The barman just shakes his head and walks out. In the corner of the bar, there is a hooded man, masked in smoke. Appleby Dan, feeling he's got nothing to lose, stands up and walks over to the man covered in smoke. Who are you?
Me? Well, they calls me Smokey Jones, but I forgot my real name a long time ago.
Appleby Dan scratches his head. And why are you here, and why did everybody leave?
Well, it's 'cause you were talking about the hill.
And what's wrong with me talking about the hill? It's just a hill.
Let me tell you something, Appleby Dan. Moonchild Mary lives on that hill, and she ain't to be tampered with. In fact, if I was you, Appleby Dan, I would not think about going to that hill at all.
What's your name again?
My name's Smokey Jones.
Right. Okay, Smokey Jones, I'm off. I'm going to the cell. I'm going to find Moonchild Mary, and I'm going to ask her for the secrets of happiness. Because at the end of the day, Mystic Man was way more friendly than you, and you creep me out.
Appleby Dan, you might be right. Appleby Dan, you might be right. Appleby Dan, you might be right.
Appleby Dan walked out of the bar, and he started to run in the rain to the hill. He got to the top of the hill, and he rapped on the door. Rap, 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 rap. The doors opened. Out walked a lady with the palest skin you'll have ever seen in your life. So pale, you could almost see your own reflection. And long black hair, and long fingernails. A feral woman. You Moonchild Mary, Appleby Dan said. That is me. Apparently, you're supposed to show me the secrets to happiness. Come, she said. And they walked together. They walked through the house and into the garden. Along, right to the back of the garden, to where there was a river, an estuary, flowing in to the wild Atlantic Ocean. Sugar, San Francisco it's not the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not American. The ocean on that side, the Pacific, or is it, whatever the ocean is, the ocean. I'm a bit scrambled right now. I'm trying to freestyle a dope story. Anyway, Appleby Dan and Moonchild Mary walked to the back of the garden. I'm such a miserable person, Moonchild Mary. Look at you. Your fingernails are overgrown, living in this house all alone. You don't care about material possessions. I don't see a ring. You don't have a husband. I doubt you have any kids. The house looks very neat inside. How are you so happy and free? Look at you, you're beaming. You've got a glint in your eye. Moonchild Mary said, why do they call you Appleby Dan? Because I make apple pies. Okay, Appleby Dan. Go get me a bag of oil from my pantry. And then go get some rolling pins, the metal cast iron ones that are also in my pantry. seeing as you know so much about apple pies. Apple Pie Dan gets furious. Someone asking him to make an apple pie for him. He's been making them all his life. He's tired of making apple pies. Tired of it. Apple Pie Dan runs into the house, grabs the rolling pins and grabs the oil. He runs back to the river. Moonchild Mary pulls the string, and a wooden board stops the river, and all the water begins to rise until it's a beautiful pond. Moonchild Mary says, "Now, Apple Pie Dan, I want you to throw in the cast iron rolling pins." Apple Pie Dan throws them into the lake, into the pond. And she says, "Now I want you to pour all the oil into the pond." Apple Pie Dan pours all the oil into the pond. He's like, "What the hell is this, witchcraft? What is this weird ceremony?" Now Moonchild Mary says, "Apple Pie Dan, I want you to make the rolling pins rise to the top of the pond and the oil to sink to the bottom." Apple Pie Dan says, "How the hell am I supposed to do this? This is impossible. You freaking hippie. What the hell's going on? I can't do this." Okay? It's against the law of nature. Moonchild Mary says, exactly. It's against the law of nature. It's impossible for the oil to sink down and the cast iron rolling pins to float up. It's against the law of nature. And just as someone who performs anger, misery, and hatred, they perform actions of this, so they will go down and feel low. Whereas those who perform acts of kindness, love, generosity, compassion, they are bound to float up and go higher. Apple Pie Dan says, "Right, so how are we going to make this apple pie?"